Greetings and salutations, my beautiful peoples. It's the homie, Maurice Green, real time, Mo Tizzle, Mo Jizzle, coming at y'all once again, August the 18th, 2015, on my way to school, education to better myself. And what's popping right now? Oh yeah. I want to talk about the movie Straight Outta Compton. I'm not going to give it like a crazy review like that because I don't like doing spoilers or what have you, and I don't like I'm not really a movie review guy. I am a movie buff though. I love flicks. Like me and the homies used to like record skits and stuff like that and write movies. We've been doing things like that since 1991, like literally. You know what I mean? We just never really put anything together, but I think when it comes to writing, besides poetry, like trying to write comic books and trying to write films was one of the first things I started doing. So I have like a deeper appreciation for cinema, more so than the average viewer. And Straight Outta Compton, what did I think about it, man? I just say old school slang, man. That shit was dope. It was official, man. Let me turn this music up a little bit. I thoroughly enjoyed it, man. I thoroughly, that dude, that asshole in his Mercedes Benz is a fucking dick on the upper left up there. But I thoroughly enjoyed the movie, man, because it was extremely nostalgic. Turn this down. This music sucks. Try to find something. Like I told y'all before the last time I did a video, it ain't nothing but, and during your morning commute, it's nothing but commercials. They trying to sell you stuff all day. I guess people that get up this early actually have money to buy products. That's why they have so many goddamn commercials, man. Horrible. Can I get some tunes on? I need to just start going old school and just putting a CD in and just letting the music rock. I think eventually I'm going to start doing that. But anyway, the movie was it was extremely nostalgic, man. Extreme. It just took me back to my childhood. That's the best way to describe it, man. Like 1989. I was born in '79, so 88. I was like, I think they came out in '87. I was 8 years old. So 87 through 91, I was like when they had their run. I was from like 8 years old to like 12 or 13. And it's funny because when I was like around 12, 13 in 8th grade, me and the homies, we had like a little rap group. And we used to try to, I think it was called the FUP, Forever Under Pressure. Me, Anthony Williams, and my boy Devin McCrory. And it's funny, when we used to write our lyrics, like NWA, that type of music was so influential back then that we would try to be gangster with our lyrics. We wasn't gangster, nothing like that, but we would try to write hardcore lyrics. Yeah, that's hilarious. But it was very, very, very influential. And those were some bad times back then. It was like a lot of gang wars and stuff like that. A lot of fighting, a lot of beef, and Crips and Bloods was out on the West Coast. Out here in the East Coast in Connecticut, we had like Latin Kings and Solitos and 20 Love and Niatas and all that. So that was the vibration. That was the vibe. It was a dark time, but at the same time, music was influential. Whether you want to say it was positive or was negative, that's just a matter of preference or opinion. You know, like a lot of people that they try to get down on the music. Oh, the music is negative. This and that. It promotes this and promotes that. But the same people that say that, they big up movies like Scarface and Godfather and Goodfellas and stuff like that. And those movies they're just as negative. They promote just as much negativity and glorify. I mean, how many people, like black people, wear Scarface t-shirts or have Goodfellas posters or Godfather posters, like emulating the Last Supper with Jesus? You know, the same black people that'll put down a black movie that's telling our story, even though it was negative. Hey, they came from a negative situation. I mean, how else could you tell a story? You can't take a negative story and try to spin it and then make it positive. That's what happened. You understand? I understand what I'm saying? Like how many black people herald these Italian movies and these gladiator movies and stuff like that are equally, if not more negative, that have more sex and more violence than some of these black movies like Boys in the Hood, South Central, what have you. And to me, the best way to describe it, Straight Outta Compton, it was like Boys in the Hood. It was like kind of like Minister Society, but with more of the musical creative aspect. It was more of a happier ending. As far as like, you know, these cats, well, the majority of the group besides Eazy-E, but we all know he passed away, so that's not even a spoiler. We all know that he died, and I don't think it was AIDS. My personal opinion, you know, like they were saying, how the hell you gonna go in? You got bronchitis, and then next week they say you got HIV. Then next week they say you got full-blown AIDS, and then next week you're dead. That's like and he was rich just like Dr. Dre. You understand? I mean, not that I'm saying. Yeah, he was rich. Yeah, he was rich just like Magic Johnson. That's what I was trying to say. He was just as rich as him. Came up with the virus around the same damn time. Magic Johnson's still alive. He's not. I mean, that's a whole nother theory, another story, what have you. But besides his tragic passing and what have you, you know, Ice Cube is still successful to this day. One of the most successful producers of all time. Producers, hip hop, movie producers. I'm sorry. One of the most successful rappers of all time. Dr. Dre, one of the most successful producers of all time. You know, so that's a relatively happy ending. But it was just, the movie was like extremely nostalgic because it just took me back to that time. Like the music was accurate, and it wasn't all about the the West Coast music too, because a lot of times they would play like East Coast backdrop music at certain points in the movie. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to give it up or anything like that, but once you see it, once you hear, if you choose to see it, you're going to hear, you're like, oh, this song was popping at the same time on the other side of the United States. So if you're like around the age that I'm at, it takes you back to that time, man. You know, you're like, for a moment, I was like 10, 11, 12 years old again, you know, when I was watching that movie, man. It was nostalgic, and it had a little something for everybody. It had a lot of humor. Those cats, I mean, like, if you listen to a lot of their music, they had a lot of humor in their music. And Ice Cube, I mean, come on, he wrote Friday. He wrote Barbershop. He had a lot to do with the writing of the movie. So obviously, you know, Cube got an excellent sense of humor. Great writer. So of course the humor is going to come out in that. And if you listen to like a lot of Dr. Dre's old albums and their skits and stuff like that, a lot of humor. Even when when Ice Cube was battling against NWA, his song No Vaseline, a song is freaking hilarious, man. It's a beast. You understand what I'm saying? Or the diss songs they made against Eazy-E or what have you. They were just some humorous cats, and it showed. It showed throughout the movie, man. It was. I count at least 20 or 30 times where like the entire audience laughed, man. It was surprisingly comical, being that it came from such a dark place in the West Coast, man. Very humorous, man. Of course, there's gonna be a lot of sex. It was sex. It wasn't crazy. It wasn't like Wolf of Wall Street sex. It wasn't on that level, but you know what I mean. Put it this way, Wolf of Wall Street is like a 10. Wolf of Wall Street is like a porno, basically. 10. Straight Outta Compton, sex-wise, 6.5, 7. But it wasn't only about that. They were just showing all the elements of things that was going on. They were showing police brutality. They showed the sex. They showed a little bit of drugs. They showed stuff about the music industry. They showed things about school, about, you know, the kids trying to grow up and find their way with the artistry. Talked about, they touched on disease, touched on politics. I mean, touched on everything, man. You know what I mean? It pretty much touched on everything. To me, that movie is a reflection of America, of its growth and development. West Coast hip hop is America. You understand? Coming from something that's small, something that was rejected, something that had to kind of like break away and create, make its own way. That's what America is. You know what I'm saying? America is hip hop. Hip hop is America. West Coast hip hop is hip hop. It's a form of it. It's a faction of it. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what it was, man. And then, but the thing that annoys me is like a lot of groups and stuff like that, like various groups like Relationship 2.0 or what have you, or Ren's group. I forget Ren's Real Talk or whatever that fucking name she want to change it to, or what have you. You know, you have some individuals that'll be like, or even in Robert Perkins' group, or you'll have people be like, yo, how you gonna see that movie then talk about Black Lives Matter? Black Lives Matter. You gonna see that movie is degenerating or denigrating black people and putting them down and painting us in a negative light. And you gonna support this movie, but you can't support Umar Johnson giving him money to buy his school. Like, blah, blah, fucking blah. How come black folks are like pseudo pro-black folk always like take something that's popular, you know what I mean, instead of trying to create their own lane and create their own buzz to catapult their own movement? They always take something that's popular, hop on that shit, and try to spin off of it. And in some points it's good, it's a good thing. But after a while it just gets annoying. Like, you know, when the whole rainbow flag was popping off and everybody was doing the overlay on their avatars to show that they supported the homosexual, like the laws that were passed as far as gay marriage being legal across the United States. A lot of pro-blacks, they hopped on that, and they started putting the red, black, and green, and I did it myself too, because you know I can dig that. You know, if we're gonna support that, why can't we support ourselves and try to unify with ourselves? And I can totally dig that. But I can totally dig that. But at the same time, you know, why we couldn't put that up beforehand? Why we couldn't put those pictures up before that red, black, and green overlay beforehand? Why did it have to take one group doing something for us to move to do something? Even though a lot of times black people will get motivated and will start something, and then other groups or oppressed groups, they'll hop on our shit. And they'll pretty much, you know, they'll bite and copy off of us. We need to be trendsetters as opposed to followers. Followers is what I'm trying to say. But anyway, yeah, people will say, oh, you can support this movie, then Black Lives Matter. You don't think Black Lives Matter? Understand something. For me watching that movie, man, it wasn't. Let me try to find a station real quick. I need some music now. Play this ratchet shit. It wasn't about it wasn't really glorifying the sex. It wasn't glorifying the music. It wasn't glorifying Dr. Dre and Ice Cube, in my opinion. It was a historical, and it may have been exaggerated, but you know, you have to do so for the sake of a theater or whatever. But it was just a historical relay of what the supergroup NWA went through coming up. That's all it was, man. It wasn't about glorifying it, like it was just telling a story. And you got so many more things that relay history that are so much more violent than Straight Outta Compton. I mean, a lot of these people complaining about the movie, like glorifying sex and violence and all that stuff. These same people follow the Bible, though. These same people read the Bible. They don't have a problem with the Bible, which is a quote unquote historical book. And that talks, you know, that has all kinds of like sex orgies and stuff like that inside of the Gomorrah, and like Samson killing 1,000 people with the jawbone of a donkey. Don't get no more violent than that. Like God destroying the entire planet instead of the entire planet with the exception of 8 people during the Great Flood. You know, so how many millions of people was killed at that one point? I'm trying to think that like Straight Outta Compton didn't even really have a body count like that. I don't think it didn't really focus on people getting murdered. I mean, I don't mean to spoil it or anything like that, but I only think like one person died in it, or easy a couple of people. But it wasn't about drive-bys and cats getting murked left and right. It was about the music. It was about freedom of speech. You know what I mean? If not for them, a lot of hip hop artists, you know, to me, it would be like a lot more regulations in what we say. And it would be more of a reluctance for people to express themselves with their art, with their music and their artistry, man. You know, it wasn't glorifying that, but you know, you look, I'm not too familiar with the Quran or other quote unquote holy books like that, but I'm sure they have stories of wars and stories of sex and things of that nature. So holy books can talk about sex and war and the struggles that people are going through and coming from nothing and becoming something positive and helping people or what have you. But we as human beings, we can't tell our stories on a microcosmic level at all. It wasn't glorifying at all. Like to me, like if you watch Wolf of Wall Street, I love the freaking movie, man. And I love sex, and I'm a porno addict. I thought that was dope. I mean, it glorified the drugs, it glorified the money, it glorified scandal, glorified. It was dope. But you don't hear white people complaining about that shit like that. Like, oh, this movie's painting white people in a negative light. It's glorifying sex and money and making us all look shiesty. Man, hell no, that shit was dope. So why can't we tell our stories? That's where we came from. That's where a lot of us, not all of us, but that's what a lot of black folks came from, especially in the West fucking Coast. That's what a lot of people came from, the negativity and the gangs and the guns and the violence and stuff like that. So they're just telling their story, and they telling how the majority of them in that group are still alive to this day, and they made it, man. They definitely made it. And if they can make it, anybody can. That's all it's pretty much saying, man. You know, so stop trying to hop on just because something is popular. Like when they was doing the ice bucket challenge, and like a lot of these black ones, like pseudo pro black folk want to come up doing the ice bucket challenge. Why don't you do the ancient Kemet challenge or whatever it is? You know, that shit is corny. Stop trying to bounce off of other people's waves. Create your own damn wave, because that's what we're geniuses at doing anyway. We create our waves constantly anyway, so we don't have to copy anybody else's trends in order for something to pop off or nothing like that. We create our waves. That's corny. I just hate that plagiaristic mentality of just hopping on some shit. You know what I mean? Just to be opportunistic. It's kind of like if it's like a popular page, like a Tommy Sotomayor page, or what have you, and you know what I mean. Maybe you only got 300 or 400 friends. You ain't getting that much traction. So whenever you got music or what have you, or a new project or a party or something that's going on, you want to flood a popular person's page, not even like, you know, without their permission. You trying to ride their wave to get fired to yours, man. That shit is corny. I mean, I understand why folks do it, like the whole Ronda Rousey calling out Floyd Mayweather saying she can kick his ass, and basically, you know, he's worth a lot more than she is, so it brings attention to herself, and it generates an audience to herself that she would have never had if she didn't do that. So I can kind of understand that. But how much more powerful are you when you create your own wave? When you set your own trend? You know what I'm saying? When you come up with your own t-shirt, your own phrases, and people start copying you. And that's all. That's pretty much all I'm saying, man. Leave the movie alone. Stop hating on it. It's a good fucking movie, man. And it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it had negativity and stuff like that, but like, I gotta watch it again to kind of analyze it. It wasn't even like, it was all about the F-bomb and cursing, and yeah, you had swear words and stuff like that, but it wasn't, to me, it was all in taste. Like when I do my comedy, I curse here and there, but it's in taste. It's written for a reason. You know what I mean? It's not just like, I'm saying mother F this, mother F that shit, bitch, pussy. No. It's strategically placed. And I see the same thing with the movie, like everything that was put in place, it was done for a reason. It wasn't done so like gratuitously. I didn't see it. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just a freaking dumb idiot that doesn't know what the hell he's talking about as far as analyzing, breaking down movies, but I know how it made me feel, you know, and it just took me back to a real nostalgic time. Like I knew all the music, and just to see all the connections of what all the popular, like I'm not gonna give nothing away as far as like all the artists, like the little side artists that was in it and stuff like that, but you'll just see all the connections between like a lot of artists back then, and how they were inspired, and like what they were going through, and the stories behind a lot of songs that they did. Like I love seeing the inspiration behind songs. Like I was watching a biopic on the Eagles, my favorite band of all time, and like it was like a 3-hour documentary on HBO. And whenever they would talk about a song that he wrote, they speak about what led up to that actual song, and they kind of do that in this movie too as well. And it's not like a corny musical or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's not like It's like a hood version. It's a hood version of Jersey Boys, which is another great movie. You know, that was talking about Frankie Valli in 4 Seasons or whatever. But you know, that movie kind of broke down like why or how they arrived at certain songs, but they would just go like full musical mode, which was dope. I think that was cool. But I think if this movie, if Straight Outta Compton went into full hip hop musical mode, I think it would have been corny, like that movie Hip Hopera that came out years ago with Mos Def and Beyonce. It was alright, but it was kind of, after a while, it was kind of goofy. And I think Empire kind of did that over the summer, and I like, you know, I dig Empire, and that's a whole different topic, a whole different video. I'm already at 20 minutes as it is. I'm getting good at talking for a long time, and I feel like I'm interested or whatever. But yeah, Empire pretty much did that over the summertime. That was already done. Whenever they would break into a song, or you know, Jamal come up with something, Hakeem, whatever. They would just break into like the whole 2 or 3 minutes. Nah, Straight Outta Compton don't do that. They just kind of keep it brief and keep it moving. It's about the music, but it's more or less about the story in general, not just the music. You know, it was definitely dope. I would say go and see it. Adults see it. I mean, I was in there, man, and there was some young kids, man. I guess the family couldn't have no babysitter. You got your 7 or 8-year-old, and they watching TV and watching this movie with sex and drugs and guns and all that. I'm just like, y'all couldn't wait to just find a babysitter. Y'all don't got no family. You can't find a babysitter. And where I was sitting, because it was kind of filled up top, so I went to like a lower balcony area. You know what I'm saying? So instead of like, you know how the normal seats is like gradually kind of like right behind you, where I was sitting, it was like maybe like 8 feet above was where the next seats were, like guarded by a fence. And it was like this couple that was sitting next to me or whatever. Like it was like a space in like a few spaces in between like where seats should be, and that's what a couple was. And all of a sudden I heard, oh, I'm sorry, this fucking little 7-year-old kid like knocked this soda over, big gulp ass soda. And I think he ducked it on their back or their head or some shit like that. That joke was just horrible. I would have been fucking, if that would have happened to me, I would have been pissed. Like, why the hell you bringing your kids out to this movie? Now you spilled this soda on my head. They shouldn't be here in the first place. What the hell? It's like somebody that gets into a car accident, but they don't got no license and they drunk. Even if it's not their fault, your ass shouldn't have been on the road. Even if it was an accident by the kid or whatever, that kid should be in the theater, man. That's horrible. If you taking your kids to like rated R movies, and like there's certain rated R movies, they rated R because of action or whatever, you know, dying or whatever. And that, I could take my kid to see like a little action flick or whatever, but a flick that's just about sex and cussing and gangs and all that type of stuff. Those 6 and 7-year-olds don't need to be saying that. Come on, man, kill yourself. Don't be taking your kids to see no stuff like that at all. Find a babysitter, but you know, I guess the babysitter costs $40. So you want to save that money, but you save the money, but at the same time you like poisoning your children's minds and shit. But these is low vibratory people, so you know they gonna do what they gonna do. They ain't gonna listen to me. They ain't gonna give a fuck. I'm not successful. I'm a bum and I'm not handsome. So you know I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Whatever. At any rate, go see the movie. It gets 5 fingers. The high 5. I'm gonna give it like that's my rating. You know, you get the middle finger. That's if it's whack. You get the peace sign. Get the fuck out of here if it's You get the 3, like, oh, that's okay. You get the 4, like, yo. You get the 5 fingers. That movie get 5 fingers, man. That shit is dope, man. I was trying to say 2 thumbs up on the low, and I just fucked up, so I just kind of flipped it into something totally different. They get 5 fingers, though. Go see Straight Outta Compton. If you like movies like Boys in the Hood and South Central, and what's some other gangster ones back there? Boys in the Hood, South Central, even Higher Learning, even though I was more about college. But any of those Negro movies, Negro gangster movies, New Jack City and stuff like that. But more or less Boys in the Hood, South Central type deal. If you into those movies, yeah, you'll definitely appreciate. And Juice, you know, if you're into that type of stuff, man, or Above the Rim, you will definitely appreciate it. If you're not into those type of movies, there's no need in hating and shit like that. You don't watch that type of shit. Who gives a fuck? Just keep it moving. If you're not into the hip hop and West Coast hip hop in the back of the day which was dope because it totally took the Parliament Funkadelics like from Bootsy Collins and George Clinton, and I think his name is Avalon. I can't do that same rapper, rock and roll gangster. I'd be wrong for what his name is, but it took that music and it just kept it going. And if you like funk and all that type of stuff, and just the early 90s hip hop era and just the culture of what was going on back then, you'll definitely love that movie. I co-sign it. I give it 5 fingers, man. 5 fingers, that shit was dope. 5 fingers, high five. That kind of was gay. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I got another comedy show coming up this Friday. It will be at the Waterfront Tavern in Holyoke, Mass. 8 o'clock. Richie, the homie Richie Hector, put it together, put me on the show. That's my son from some other buns, because we look alike, but I'm just 11 years older than him. So I was joking. But anyway, that's all I had to say. You holla at the homie. Let me know what you think. Put your comments down. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe. Let me build this fan base. Do my thing. Maurice Green, Mo Tizzle, Mo Jizzle, real time. Deuces.